Welcome to the Inspirational Living Podcast. Visit our lifestyle brand bookofzen.com to shop for inspirational fashion and gifts. Proceeds help support the production of our podcast. Today's reading was edited and adapted from the work of Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. The decisive question for humanity is, are we related to something infinite or not? That is the telling question of our lives. Only if we know that the thing which truly matters is the infinite, can we avoid fixing our interests upon futilities and upon all kinds of goals which are not of real importance. The more we lay stress on false possessions, and the less sensitivity we have for what is essential, the less satisfying is our life. We feel limited because we have limited aims, and the result is envy and jealousy. If we understand and feel that here in this life we already have a link with the infinite, our desires and attitudes change. An understanding heart is everything in a teacher, and cannot be esteemed highly enough. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feeling. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and for the soul of the child. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. There are as many nights as days, and the one is just as long as the other in the year's course. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. One of the main functions of organized religion is to protect people against a direct inward experience of God. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. We should not pretend to understand the world only by intellect. We apprehend it just as much by feeling. Therefore, the judgment of the intellect is, at best, only the half of truth, and must, if it be honest, also come to an understanding of its inadequacy. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. The meaning of my existence is that life has addressed a question to me, or conversely, I myself am a question which is addressed to the world, and I must communicate my answer, for otherwise I am dependent upon the world's answer. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. Whether you call the principle of existence God, matter, energy, or anything else you like, you have created nothing. You have merely changed a symbol. Sometimes you have to do something unforgivable just to be able to go on living. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. Let the light of your madness shine, and it will suddenly dawn on you. Madness is not to be despised and not to be feared, but instead you should give it life. If you want to find paths, you should also not spurn madness, since it makes up such a great part of your nature. Be glad that you can recognize it, for you will thus avoid becoming its victim. Madness is a special form of this spirit, and clings to all teachings and philosophies, but even more to daily life, since life itself is full of craziness and at bottom utterly illogical. Humanity strives toward reason only so that it can make rules for itself. Life itself has no rules. That is its mystery and its unknown law. What you call knowledge is an attempt to impose something comprehensible on life. We are born at a given moment, in a given place, and like vintage years of wine, we have the qualities of the year and of the season in which we are born. The person who promises everything is sure to fulfill nothing, and everyone who promises too much is in danger of using evil means in order to carry out their promises, and is already on the road to perdition. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. I have gradually learned to be cautious even in disbelief, so I shall not commit the fashionable stupidity of regarding everything I cannot explain as a fraud. When you are up against a wall, put down roots like a tree until clarity comes from deeper sources to see over that wall and grow. Christians often ask why God does not speak to them, as he is believed to have done in former days. When I hear such questions, it always makes me think of the rabbi, who asked how it could be that God often showed himself to people in the olden days, whereas nowadays nobody ever sees him. The rabbi replied, "Nowadays there is no longer anybody who can bow low enough." This answer hits the nail on the head. We are so captivated by and entangled in our own subjective consciousness that we have forgotten the age-old fact that God speaks chiefly through dreams and visions. The Buddhist discards the world of unconscious fantasies as useless illusions. The Christian puts church and Bible between themselves and their unconscious, and the rational intellectual does not yet know that consciousness is not the total psyche. Faith, hope, love, and insight are the highest achievements of human effort. They are found and given by experience. Children are educated by what the grown-up is, and not by his or her talk. The highest, most decisive experience is to be alone with oneself. You must be alone to find out what supports you when you find that you cannot support yourself. only this experience can give you an indestructible foundation. I have treated many hundreds of patients. Among those in the second half of life, that is to say over 35, there has not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life. It is safe to say that every one of them fell ill because they had lost that which the living religions of every age have given their followers. And none of them has really been healed who did not regain their religious outlook. My own understanding is the sole treasure I possess, and the greatest. Though infinitely small and fragile in comparison with the powers of darkness, it is still a light, my only light. Explore daily the will of God. Every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, that life is wasted. In the last analysis, the essential thing is the life of the individual. This alone makes history. Here alone do the great transformations take place, and the whole future, the whole history of the world, ultimately springs as a gigantic summation from these hidden sources in individuals. Life is a battleground. It always has been and always will be. And if it were not so, existence would come to an end. If the path before you is clear, you are probably on someone else's. The Inspirational Living Podcast is a production of The Living Hour and brought to you by the generous financial support of our patrons. Become our patron for as little as $3 a month to gain access to free transcripts and the series Our Sunday Talks, which features thought-provoking readings on spirituality and spiritual growth. Thanks for listening. I look forward to talking with you next time.